2001, Juan Pablo on pole again. Truly, he was mighty, third for Toyota, ahead of the champion-in-waiting Alonso, fourth. Fifth, Ralf Schumacher, he wants points for Toyota. Sixth, his brother Michael, he wants a wet race for his Bridgestone-shod Ferrari. Seventh, Massa in great form. Eighth, Button, who had to go out early. Ninth, Webber in the Williams. 10th, Takuma Sato. 11th, Coulthard's Red Bull. He had problems pushing hard in medium corners. 12th, and disappointing for Barrichello and Ferrari. 13th, Fisichella, a 10-place engine penalty. 14th, Villeneuve. 15th, no grip for Pitsonia. 16th, Klein. 17th, a great performance from Dornbos in front of the Dutch fans. And Christian Albers, 18th. 19th and 20th, Montero and Kartikeyan for Jordan.
So off we go. The Belgian Grand Prix, when it rains here, it's like no other circuit, like no other Grand Prix. Here's your commentary team, Martin Brundle and James Allen.
Forming up on the grid then, the charismatic curved grid here at Spa-Francorchamps, a bit like Silverstone. The cars at the back are around the bend from the cars at the front. Nice clear track in front, nice clear view in front then for Juan Montoya, because there's going to be quite a bit of spray on this opening few laps. You certainly want to be the one with no spray to look into. There's Charlie Whiting, a very experienced old head, the race director. We're going to be relying on him here this afternoon to keep cool. Are you ready then? 44 laps of the world's most popular racetrack. Begin now! Great start by Montoya. Raikkonen's looking in his mirrors already, looking for Trulli, looking for Alonso. Trulli's nailed him down the inside. Raikkonen cannot afford to make any contact there. And he looks like he's got away with. He's running very wide though. Alonso is right behind him. Trulli tucks in third place. Montoya's got the break though into the first corner. Michael Schumacher has got away well also.
Important for Raikkonen to maintain that place as he has a huge wobble on the top of Radion and kept it all together somehow. Good job that McLaren is working well. Look at the spray, despite it being a relatively dry racetrack. Alonso trying to go around the outside of his old teammate and great friend Trulli, but no chance.
Montoya leads, Raikkonen is second, Alonso is third. Well, he said third as he came through the sector one, but in fact that's because he was slightly in front of him. That marker, that's interesting. So Alonso was in front of him at the end of sector one, but then Trulli got him back again into the hairpin. So Trulli in front of Alonso, Ralf Schumacher fifth, Michael Schumacher sixth, Sato is up to seventh, that's good for him. Eighth, Massa, ninth, Button, 10th, Webber, 11th, David Coulthard.
Yes, of course, Alonso has the low downforce. He would have been super fast down the straight. We know Trulli is carrying a load of downforce in the Toyota, but now he will just waltz away from the Renault. And I would half suspect Alonso to be quite quickly under pressure from Michael Schumacher in the Ferrari. Montoya leads from Raikkonen then with a decent gap already back to Jarno Trulli in the Toyota.
Takuma Sato certainly had a cracking start. I mentioned he was up into 7th place. That's from 10th on the grid. Teammate Jenson Button, however, has gone backwards from 8th down to 9th place. David Coulthard is exactly where he started in 11th. So a little bit of movement at the front. Alonso, Trulli. You can see Alonso dropping back now a little bit from Trulli. And Michael Schumacher, where is he? He's coming up behind Alonso. So a bit of action there behind. That looked like Sato, Massa, Button getting involved with each other. There we go.
Side by side, the two BARs then down to La Source. And who is in front? It is Sato from Button. I half expecting Jensen to dial one up the inside there, but he should get good drive. There's a drain though on the way out of there. You have to run over that, spins up the wheels, and Sato gets the better bite, gets the better traction down the hill.
And the reason for that is because Ralf Schumacher obviously had a problem at the bus stop. He's gone down from 5th to 8th place. We saw Michael Schumacher getting past him before the bus stop chicane. But so Ralf Schumacher very much involved in that. He has gone backwards. That's promoted the BAR of Sato up to 6th and Button up into 7th. Michael Schumacher, though, is right on the back of the Renault of Fernando Alonso and looking very strong at the moment.
Michael Schumacher within 0.7 of a second of Alonso, but Alonso with that fast car up the hill on the back straight is in a pretty good position to defend himself. But can he do? He's just got to hold it together down the hill. There's the graphic on the left-hand side, shows you Sato was the best gainer with 4 places up to P6. Ralf Schumacher, as you pointed out, James, falling down 3 places. The top 4 got away in formation then effectively once they sorted themselves out.
Well, Giancarlo Fisichella having to take the 10th-place penalty for changing his engine before qualifying. There he is. Started this Grand Prix in 13th place. He's managed to make up 1 place. He's now 12th. And Christian Klein has had a belter of a start. And there you go, Mark Webber. And racing with Fisichella.
Webber's lost out to Coulthard already, and now to Fisichella too, who's steaming through from his forced grid position back down in 14th with that engine change. But Webber really on his back foot and struggling, isn't he? Montoya's not, though. He leads. It was 1.2 seconds at the end of the first lap. It's now 1.4 seconds. He is fractionally the faster McLaren driver. They're 3 seconds clear of Trulli. Alonso and Michael Schumacher pretty much holding station, about a second apart.
That's the Minardi of Christian Albers in the pits there. Ralf Schumacher crawling all over the back of Jenson Button, desperate to get back. I wouldn't mind seeing a replay of what happened down at the bus stop. Albers have got a problem there with his right front tyre, either not on or not come off, lifting the car up. Bit of confusion there. They let him go. Wouldn't mind seeing a replay, as I say, Martin, of what happened to Ralf Schumacher. He dropped down 3 places. Obviously, his brother passed him before the bus stop, but something happened in the bus stop with the 2 BARs.
I can only assume he must have outbraked himself and gone in way too deep. But he obviously then dragged it somehow back onto the racing line because it slowed them all down, didn't it? Fisichella really shaping up for the back of Coulthard, but he's been doing that for a while now.
Yes, he has. He's got the straight line speed. That's a big part of the reason why you're seeing what you're seeing. Coulthard in qualifying yesterday, 310 kilometres an hour. Fisichella 317. So about 5 miles an hour difference in straight line speed, which is a reasonable chunk.
David made a mistake or had a big slide on the way in to the first part of the bus stop, and that's why Fisichella's got a good run at him. We know Fisichella's got the straight line speed. Will he just drive up alongside him down the hill? Yes, he will. He had a better run into the corner, better exit, and with that traction and less wing, he's managed to get himself easily up alongside and seized the corner. Fisichella then moves up to P10.
Nice move by Giancarlo Fisichella. The trigger for it, a mistake by the driver in front, something that used to be very much a part of Grand Prix racing, with manual gear changes and such like. Missing a gear was a great opportunity for the man behind to get through. In modern Formula 1 with these semi-automatic gearboxes and so many things done for the driver, the opportunities for the driver to make a mistake and give a person behind him, racing him, a chance are greatly reduced. But on days like today, when it's a little bit slippery, then those opportunities come up again. Here's Ralf Schumacher having a go at Jenson Button. Jenson scythes through and will not let him go. That's through the 156-mile-an-hour Pouhon corner, not generally acknowledged as being one of the main passing places on this racetrack.
What happens, of course, in the wet, your braking zone is much longer. It's the sort of thing they're talking about. If they heavily reduce the downforce of the cars, you'll get bigger braking zones and more overtaking.
The golden hour is the hour immediately after an accident. That hour is critical to whether the patient lives or dies.
Multiple casualties, helicopter medics required.
We're on.
Time of accident?
14:15.
We're already 6 minutes in.
We provide the most immediate trauma care in the world. We ferry the doctors directly to the patient.
We've got a teenage boy who's had a collision with a bus.
You know the chances of this procedure being a success, don't you?
Yes, and I know his chances if I don't try. We're losing this kid really fast.
You have 1 moment to make a decision.
For everyone we lose, there is another one saved.
You have 1 hour to live or die.
He's back with us.
The brand new drama series, The Golden Hour, Wednesday at 9, ITV1.
I'm a dyslexic backstreet kid. I had nothing.
He invented metal music.
I met the royal family.
It was very brave to put Ozzy on there.
The next thing I know, I'm in a hospital.
He got sober April 20th, 2004.
From Prince of Darkness to Pillar of Society. Almost.
Ozzy Osbourne.
From those who know him best and the Osbourne you haven't met before. Ozzy Osbourne in My Life. Next Saturday, 10:10, ITV1.
using text.
Son, have you gone mad? We're in the middle of a match here.
Chill out, Dad. It's digital text on ITV. You press text, go to page 400, and hey presto, there's rugby, cricket and Premiership pages for us football fans.
And we can watch the match at the same time?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I think I'm in sporting heaven. Digital text on ITV has the latest sports news, results, analysis and debate. Just press text on your digital remote from any ITV channel.
Very, very rarely in a Grand Prix, or any motor race for that matter, do the conditions stay absolutely consistent through the entire distance. The track is either getting wetter or getting drier. Never is there just enough rain to keep replenishing what the cars are throwing up in the air. What's surprising me here is that they're not letting Raikkonen go. Why put Raikkonen through all that spray at the moment and take any extra risk? He's got to go home with 10 points. And I'm just a bit confused that Montoya hasn't stepped out of the way.
Well, he's certainly getting an awful lot closer to him at the moment. The men on the move, though, are definitely the two Schumacher brothers. Watch out for them. Michael Schumacher is closing up on the back of Fernando Alonso, and Ralf Schumacher is also going quickly. Both of those men are capable of getting in front of Alonso here this afternoon. Schuey just a little bit slow on the pickup there out of the bus stop. Wasn't able to get the power down quite as quickly, and he's lost a couple of car lengths there to Alonso. But look how different the conditions are in some parts of the racetrack. It's almost dry here on the top of the hill at La Source. Ralf Schumacher, part of the reason why he was so quick, maybe, Martin, he dives into the pit lane.
Yeah, that's got to be his first scheduled stop. The end of lap 10. The leaders are on lap 11 now, so Ralf with not a great deal of fuel in that Toyota then. How far will Trulli go? Looking how honest he's keeping the McLarens, I don't think Trulli will go much further without having to get some fuel. And that's bad news for them, because quite clearly this is not the window to throw a set of drivers.
Oh, big crash! And that is Giancarlo Fisichella. He can't see where he's gone off, but
Raidillon, isn't it?
It's a big accident. Top of Eau Rouge, the Raidillon, you're absolutely right. So hopefully we'll get a replay of that. But he's knocked at least 3 corners off the Renault, but he's okay. That's the most important thing.
Now, will that bring out the safety car? Yes, safety car deployed, because they have to bring a moving vehicle on to get that out, and that's negated a lot of leads out there. Bad news for Ralf Schumacher. He's just pitted under effectively greens, but they'll all pile in the pits now.
Here it is again then, Fisichella just losing it up on the top of the hill. Well, we saw those... we've seen the accidents of the BAR team back in the late 90s. That one's a bit reminiscent of it.
Sorry, James, to interrupt you. Raikkonen's holding them up because he needs to hold the pack, because his garage is full of Montoya at the moment. Clever thinking by him so that he disadvantages all of the others and gets a clean garage.
And that's exactly what they didn't do at Canada. Do you remember? They should have had a queue situation like that and back them up. That's the standard procedure, but they didn't do it in Canada. They got very crossed up. Here it's worked perfectly. The McLaren drivers working as a team. Everybody is diving into the pit lane except Fisichella, who's crashed, and poor old Ralf Schumacher, who pitted the lap before that accident. So that pit stop will cost him massively.
Well, they put intermediates on, and on that car they can change. They can change when they're in wet conditions. But did everybody? I think some people have put dry tyres on. Fisichella caught the inside curb of Eau Rouge and crashed at Raidillon. He has not put their dry tyres going on the Williams. But intermediates definitely going onto Alonso's car. As they're changing the type of tyre, they can refuel, is my understanding. But there's Fisichella going off the road and at the top of Raidillon, and all of the pieces are out of the way, nothing on the racing line, but they have to bring a movable crane in there, which is why deploying the safety car was a no-brainer.
So poor old Fisichella wandering around regretfully, reflecting on a season which hasn't brought a great deal for him since that victory in Australia. Got a podium in Monza, but that's his only other visit to the podium, and he was really on a charge there. But I believe, Martin, a significant change took place during that round of pit stops, because I'm pretty sure that Alonso came out in front of Trulli. Now, that's interesting. They'll have to sort that one out, won't they?
But what about the tyres? We need to see, and who's that? That's Fisichella earlier in the lap going off, obviously, and this is him just clipping the inside curb.
That's definitely wet tyres being put on, dry tyres coming off. Confusion there for Takuma Sato. Ted, what can you tell us?
Absolute disaster down at VAR. They sent the drivers out. They thought it was worth a punt, but the drivers radioed in, said, I cannot handle these dry tyres, and they both had to come in and lost a load of time, Sato and Jenson Button, for wet tyres again.
Yeah, well, they've lost time at this stage, but of course they'll go straight back up to the safety car snake. The safety car's in this lap, but it's a long lap, 4.3 miles, so they will easily catch this snake. So in the end, they won't have lost time, they will have lost track position, but that's a team error in the panic of the moment. And fog in the hills there, mist in the hills there too, all happening out there. This is a very challenging race for the drivers.
The safety car dives in, Massa up to 7th, Barrichello up to 8th. The two BARs have lost out very heavily. You can't pass before the restart line, and well, that's interesting.
Well, Jack's going very slowly. Ralph passed him undoubtedly, which is against the regulations. Montoya goes over the line. The two Minardis are a lap down, so they're down in 18th and 19th. And then the fight begins, and and Villeneuve's locked his front brakes. Ralph had already let him back past so as not to be penalised. Villeneuve with a great run, because you do get a good run from higher up there. We used to cheat qualifying that way to get a good run over the line with the old pit lane setup. But Ralf Schumacher is through, so is the Williams. Villeneuve recovered.
And so is Kimi Räikkönen, importantly. And Michael Schumacher has tangled with Takuma Sato. And he's out of the Grand Prix. Michael Schumacher's miserable 2005 comes to an end here at Spa, on one of the circuits he's always loved. 6 times a winner here, but he's going to walk over, in a few well-chosen German words for Takuma Sato. What do you think you're doing?
Well, the BAR was getting intimate with the Ferrari, and Sato couldn't find reverse. He kept going forward and just gently ramming him. Michael looks totally underwhelmed by that. Sato looked coming in way too hot. Michael's already out of the Grand Prix anyway. His rear suspension is now broken, and somehow they managed to touch again. They're out of the firing line down there where they've ended up. Can't imagine they'll need the safety car. Look, Michael's rear wing off as well as the suspension was flailing around, so he's long out of that Grand Prix. Something's blown up on the pit straight here in a very big way. I didn't quite see what it was. It heard, and it's Coulthard. Coulthard, and that's unusual, isn't it? Oh, he'll be popular. A little trail of oil right across the turning point to La Source, but he's got to get it out of the way. That's a safe haven for it, but he has definitely dropped some fluid there. That's the first Cosy we've seen blow up this year, isn't it?
Yeah, they've been very careful not to blow engines up this year. Cosworth wanted to try and maintain a 100% reliability record, but here at Spa, Coulthard, his engine detonated. I have to say, I saw an orange flash out of the corner of my eye. I thought maybe it was a camera or one of the crowd across from us in the grandstands, but clearly it was something big blowing up out of the back of that Cosworth engine. Look at Ralf Schumacher, though, being more careful, more conscientious to give the tyres a drink, going offline just to cool them, to find the damp spots. I wonder if that's playing a role in the way he's able to pull in Juan Montoya. This is the battle for the lead of the Grand Prix. Lap 19 out of 44. And you can see that Ralf Schumacher is gaining that last lap. He took another second out of Juan Montoya. Raikkonen is being left behind. He is now 6 seconds behind Ralf Schumacher, and Villeneuve is closing on Raikkonen.
Now they're going to hit the oil, and that's made them all wonder why they can't get the power down either from the retiring Red Bull of David Coulthard. And there's a very dry line down that hill into Eau Rouge, and the oil's cost Ralf Schumacher a lot of times. Former teammates, of course, at Williams, and they know each other well. And Ralf Schumacher knows how to win a Grand Prix too. He's got 6 of them under his belt, so this is not new territory for him, and he's got a car that's working well, if only just matching Montoya that time around. And when you see oil like that, you wonder just how long you're going to experience it for, but by the top of the hill, of course, there's nothing up there. They're back to just the sort of slime, the emulsion that has now become the racing line.
Well, Ralph would dearly love to put one over his old teammate, wouldn't he? There was no love lost between the two of them, although they did come to a working relationship at Williams, but they'd certainly said a few rude things about each other in the early stages of their relationship. And here, with the McLaren being certainly a superior car, Ralf Schumacher playing it tactically perhaps slightly better, running a different setup with more downforce, means his car is being pushed to the racetrack more than is Montoya's, who's got the greatest straight line speed. Now, we saw Michael Schumacher, fastest man on the racetrack before his incident with Sato. Louise, is he fuming?
Well, let's ask the man himself. Michael, are you fuming about that one?
I'm not very happy. It's not the first time we see him in some things involved.
You were the fastest man on the racetrack before that as well, weren't you? I mean, this has been a pretty impressive day for you.
Well, not really. I mean, I was expecting that we would be really competitive, but at the beginning we were not. Towards the later stage we became competitive, we matched the times, but that was not what we were hoping for. Though still weather changes which might occur could have put us more forward.
Just tell us about the tyre change just before the incident.
No, it was our decision to risk and go on dry tyres, and Rubens obviously on intermediate, well, it's normal wet. But immediately when I was out, it was like on going ice skating, and I came back in.
Thanks, Michael.
Normally they say it's a no-brainer to pit under a safety car, but Button's trying to look around the outside of Rivage. Unconventional, but at least it lets Villeneuve know he's there. Villeneuve a little bit leery on the acceleration, down to the corner with no name, that leads down to Pouon. You can see the problems that Villeneuve's having, just the tweaks on the steering wheel. This is where Coulthard and Michael Schumacher collided famously back in '98, and Button's going around the outside of Pouon. He keeps his line, he's on the drying line, and that was great stuff by Jenson Button in the dry. That's a 156-mile-an-hour corner. Nick Fry, the boss of BAR, likes that.
Well impressed with that. Great move, Jenson. He had to just keep dummying him up the top to put him out of position as Ralf Schumacher pits, and how pleased will McLaren be about that, because they'd got a headache. They might still have a headache. He's putting dry tyres on. Now we'll watch some sector times. He's the first man then to be brave enough to give it a try. So they'll put some fuel in it, of course, as well. He's changed now onto the dries, and I've seen lots of drivers do this over the years and end up in the barrier, because you've just got to catch a damp, it's so narrow, the dry line that you're on, and if you get slightly out of shape, you go straight to the scene of the accident.
Well, it was always Jean Alesi, the first man to go onto the slicks. He revelled in the feel of a car on a slippery track, but certainly we're getting close to the kind of lap times, the crossover. At the moment, they're around about 9 or 10 seconds a lap slower than they would be in dry conditions, but part of that is because these intermediate tyres are perhaps losing their grip. You can see the track is dry in quite a few places. Ted Kravitz, what can you tell us?
Yeah, down at Renault, they're seriously thinking about coming in, pulling in Fernando Alonso and putting him onto slicks, but they need to wait until his next pit stop window, and that's about 6 or 7 laps time. But I tell you what, he's reporting back with complaints about the balance of the car. He's not happy with it, so they might bring that forward.
And they might not after they've seen this. Ralph didn't get as far as the top of Les Combes. I know you're not looking at the TV down there, Ted, you're in the pit lane, but Ralph lost it at the top of the hill, and critically then loads of tyre temperature go with that, and it's even harder to then make them work. So that's valuable information for the rest of the field. And you have to say, was it really necessary for Ralph to gamble that unless he needed the fuel? If he had to come in for fuel, he had to take the risk.
Here he comes. They're ready. So even at this stage of the Grand Prix, lap 26, still not dry enough to make the switch to slicks. That's wrecked Ralph's race. He was, remember, in the top 3, but he'll be well out of the points now.
Looks like a Minardi in the distance at the, what I think's the Fagnes chicane of Dornbos there. He's locked up at the back, but I think it's just because there's not enough grip to turn the engine. He's on the dry tyres, the groove dry tyres.
Planes bearing banners across the sky can mean only one thing.
Welcome to World of Sport.
Sports coverage with more than a few differences.
You'd suddenly have log rolling.
Dickie Davis was your incomparable host.
It always looked like Dickie had been painting the ceiling.
He was smooth, he was good looking.
Thank you very much indeed.
Join him once again.
Roll VT.
As he counts down ITV's most watched sporting moments of the last 50 years. World of Sports, Tuesday, 9:45.
Pathetic, vile little man. I don't want him anywhere near my daughter.
To love him.
Yeah, OK, he's got a bit of a past, but if you ask me, Shelley could do a lot worse.
Honour him.
He's a lot to answer for, that man. He manipulates us just like he manipulates Shelley.
Comfort him.
Yeah, well, maybe he's not the man she thinks he is. That's 170 then, please.
In sickness and in health.
We've been round the block enough times to spot a nasty piece of work when we see one.
For better and for worse.
Marriage, you see, is like a bank account. You put in, you take out. Sometimes you lose interest.
As long as you both shall live.
All right. What's all this about then?
Well, it's a game show marathon.
A game show marathon?
Yep. To celebrate 50 years of ITV, we're bringing back 7 classic game shows over 7 weeks.
What are the shows?
Top secret. Can't tell you. Give you some clues.
Yeah?
Good guy.
So, they're shows we all grew up with?
Yep.
Shows everyone knows? Just one more thing. Does this have anything to do with actually running a marathon?
A brand new series, Antidex Game Show Marathon, next Saturday at 6:10.
13 laps to go then in this eventful Belgian Grand Prix. We've lost 4 cars so far. David Coulthard we saw retiring with an engine failure. Michael Schumacher as Rubens Barrichello pits in the Ferrari. Michael Schumacher and Takuma Sato collided at the La Source hairpin and took each other out. And Giancarlo Fisichella had a big crash at the top of Eau Rouge, which was the incident that brought out the safety car on lap 11.
Don't look like they're changing tyres at all, do they? They're leaving those inters on, and they look pretty daggy. I think I'd have had a set of boots there, Rubens. They look horrible on your right front, but anyway, they elected just to put fuel in it.
Playing to your Australian audience there, Martin. Certainly a daggy set of intermediate tyres. Montoya leading then. Raikkonen is right with him. Just a second on that last lap. Fastest man on the racetrack, though, Mark Webber. In 4th place at the moment for the BMW Williams team. He's made 2 pit stops here. He was one of the men who made the wrong choice on tyres earlier on. He's done very well to recover from that. Barrichello has pitted, as we saw. That moves Button up into 5th place. There's Felipe Massa, really struggling on those dry tyres, not getting any sort of drive. And what a shame for him, because he was in 5th place and going really well. But instead, he's become a guinea pig for an experiment which simply isn't working.
This is with his teammate Villeneuve just behind him. Massa's already lost 15 seconds in the middle sector of that lap before a half spin in the final chicane 2. So that lap ended up being he's so far down. It was a 2:19 as Kimi Raikkonen sets another new fastest lap on the intermediate tyres. Slicks are just nowhere. Alonso pits. What will they put on that? That's a critical one. Fernando Alonso is in the pit now. The 2 McLarens carry on. Nothing on Michelin or Bridgestone dry tyres has had any kind of grip out there. And what have they got? They're putting inters on. That's the only common sense decision, surely. He's got to stay on the road and get himself some points. No chance to take a risk for him. And really, nor should Massa have taken such a risk.
12 laps to go then. The track, we've seen the rate at which it dries out. It has not drained at all during this Grand Prix. It rained heavily before it. Here's Raikkonen now right with Montoya as they come to lap Felipe Massa. And, well, Montoya at some point is going to have to let his teammate through. He's as close as he's ever been. There's Ron Dennis. And looking around, you can tell by the body language there's a rigidity about his back and his shoulders that says this is a big moment.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for him that Alonso's gone out on the inters, and they will have noted that very carefully. But Montoya just 0.4 ahead. Once again, I just can't see why they're taking the risk. If Montoya has some big drama at the top of Radion, he could take Raikkonen with him, for example. And your 2 cars running in close formation like that is a risk you don't need to take. And I suspect that's why Ron's looking across his shoulder. He would much prefer the choreographed swap to happen sooner rather than later.
We're into the 2nd pit stop windows then. Just 12 laps to go in this Grand Prix. One of these McLarens is going to come in, and it's going to be the race leader, Juan Montoya. He peels off. Raikkonen now leads this Grand Prix for the first time. We've only had one leader. He has been Juan Montoya. There's Martin Whitmarsh looking very tense. There's Ron Dennis on his left. In comes Montoya. And, well, Raikkonen was setting fastest laps in the lead-up to this stop. A very leisurely arrival in the pit box. A few turns of wing out of the the front wing, just lowering the downforce a little bit then. Massey, you can see in the pits again. It's his third stop here this afternoon, so this is a decisive moment of the Grand Prix. Expect Raikkonen in any time soon. Expect the lead to change at that point. What can Alonso do? He's back out again on his intermediate tyres in third place, playing the percentage game. Jenson Button, terrific recovery from him. He is in fifth place, but yet to make his second stop. Barrichello has made his second stop. He'll take fifth place back from Button, who pits right now.
Well, they've got the tyres ready, wet tyres ready, but they're not going to change them. Jenson says he's very happy with the state of these tyres, but of course, remember, the tread block is wearing down, and these wet tyres are gently, slowly becoming slicks, and that will suit them on the dry line that's emerging. So Jenson in, they had the wet tyres ready, but they didn't change them.
Yeah, you're right there, Ted. They're the inter-version of their wet weather tyre, and as the wear rate increases, you do tend to get less rubber tyre surface temperature, and that can be just what you need. But Pizzoni has gone for a brand new set. I can fully understand why Jenson said these are just fine. They're just coming into where I need them.
Well, he knows where they are at the moment. Kimi Raikkonen is pushing hard, though. He's intent on getting the lead. And Raikkonen set the fastest. My goodness me, I can't believe my eyes. 1 minute 53.8. That's 2 seconds faster than any lap in this Grand Prix so far. Wow.
Why is he having to take that risk? I'm absolutely sure McLaren think that anything silver is more likely to get a penalty for team play than other cars, especially if they're painted red. And I'm sure that's the mentality. But I think it's been made absolutely clear. At this stage of the World Championship, team play is expected. It's just they don't want the fiasco that we had early in the season in Austria. But Raikkonen's had to follow his teammate. Now he's had to put it right on the line. He, of course, will put him in the lead. But you kind of wonder why they didn't just swap him over and be done with it.
Well, I think any right-thinking Formula One fan around the world would agree that with only three more races after this one to go in the World Championship, and the situation you have between Alonso and Raikkonen on points, that it would be entirely stupid to allow Montoya to win the Grand Prix in front of Raikkonen in a 1-2. And any team that did that would need their head examining, team orders or no team orders. There is Fernando Alonso going along quite nicely, thank you very much. 12 seconds behind the race-leading McLaren of Raikkonen. So, sorry, 39 seconds behind the race-leading McLaren of Raikkonen and 12 behind Montoya. So keeping in touch, but not too bothered at the moment, accepting the situation as it is.
But critically, 31 seconds ahead of Barrichello and significantly faster too. So this is perfect. He'll take third place right now, thank you very much, and the 6 points that come with it.
There you go. Here comes the race leader, Kimi Raikkonen. Well, he's certainly done enough with that last lap to have taken the lead from Juan Montoya, whose last lap, his out lap was at 2 minutes 11. He will come round shortly. His middle sector was pretty fast, Montoya. He's not hanging about. He's going to make Raikkonen work for this. Change of tyres then. Different philosophy for Raikkonen. All seem pretty good to me. Montoya is in the final sector of the lap. Hopefully we'll get a nice wide shot. We'll see where they come out relative to each other. That is Kimi Raikkonen, and that is one Pablo Montoya. The switch has taken place. Raikkonen leads the Grand Prix, and he's on his way to his second consecutive Belgian Grand Prix victory. They say that only the greats win many races around here. Raikkonen having a go. Alonso is in third place. Barrichello fourth. Webber fifth. Button sixth.
So the lead, 2 or 3 seconds. There's still a half a minute, and Jarno Trulli is heavily off the road. Not yet to work out where that is. He was in P11, out of the running really, since he ended up with the wrong tyres on the car after the first safety car period. Waved yellow flags.
Now you can see Button now hassling Barrichello, and he's going down the inside of him into the bus stop. Very neat and tidy. Jenson Button has pulled off 2 very impressive passing moves this afternoon that we've seen. One around the outside and now one on the inside of the bus stop.
And that's important for us to see, not just for this race. He's now up into P4. But we've seen Jensen, he's so smooth, so consistent. But you know, we've sometimes wondered if there's just enough fire in him. And we've seen this last few races how determined he is now and how he'll hang it out a bit in qualifying. And you're right, James, 2 great overtaking manoeuvres. The first one around the outside of Villeneuve was even better than that.
Certainly was. He passed him around the double left-hander of Pouin, and that's normally in a dry 150-mile-an-hour corner, so a bit slower in the wet, but nevertheless, brave stuff from Jensen. That's dry tyres going on to the Williams of Mark Webber. A final toss of the dice then for him in 6th place. But everyone will have their eyes on that screen now to watch what Mark Webber does, to see when he starts setting purple sector times. Then we might see a mad dash to the pits, or will we see them playing the conservative game and staying out on these shot to bits intermediate tyres. Here comes Pitsonia in the second Williams from 10th place into the pits.
Well, when they start working for Webber, he's now done the fastest first sector of anybody. That's the moment when they start working. He'll be taking some 10 seconds a lap out of the people in front of him. Klein getting very close to the back of Alonso. Nervous times for Alonso. Klein's fully entitled to unlap himself, but Alonso, we saw Montoya getting run into the back too, didn't we, in Turkey. Alonso's just got to let him go, let him get out of there. Do not let him get anywhere near the back of your car, Fernando. It's not worth the fight. Klein not with a chance of points today, but now the slick runners are going to be, as I said, at least 10 seconds a lap. They're going to start pulling out of people on Inters that have seen their better days.
Barrichello comes into the pits from 5th place, so he's fallen for it, he's going for it. There you go. Switch to dries for the Ferrari. Oh my goodness me, yet again, Montoya, as he did in Turkey last month, running in 2nd place. If you remember, he ran off the racetrack. That handed 2nd place to Alonso, just what the team didn't need. And the forlorn voice of Raikkonen saying, what happened to Montoya on the slowdown lap? There you can see Pitsonia has lost his left front tyre, but Montoya's binned it. As Martin was saying, so easy to do in these conditions. It will not be a McLaren 1-2. It will instead, I think, be a Raikkonen 1, Alonso 2, and Raikkonen will be punching every part of the steering wheel. Alonso will be smiling. That's what happened.
Fagnes chicane. Did he do another pull in front of Pitsonia? He's lapping him. Pitsonia is a lap down. And the Williams and the McLaren have come together in the braking. It's not really even a braking zone. Oh, Fagnes, we need to see a few seconds before that. But Button's going to be on the podium, and he's really chasing Alonso down at a vast rate of knots. Alonso has to pick up his pace, otherwise Button's going to take that 2nd place away from him.
I feel a bit sorry for Felipe Massa, who was going very well in 5th place, well ahead of Button and Webber, when he was called in by his team to come in and take the dry tyres very early in the Grand Prix. He's going to finish in 10th place by the looks of things, but he could have been on the podium today if they'd made a different call in that situation.
Yeah, except Kartikayan is catching him at a vast rate of knots in the Jordan. Ralf Schumacher sets a new fastest lap of the race, a 1:51.4. That's only the 8 seconds faster than the leader at this stage of the Grand Prix, and that of course is all about current tyre choice. But Raikkonen 35 seconds ahead of Alonso, who's now just 7.3 ahead of Button, but Alonso's picked the pace up.
So Raikkonen gets his 6th victory of this season. He equals Alonso, who's done the same number. 3rd win in the last 4 races for him, and McLaren's 7th victory in the last 10. Really has been the form team, hasn't it, McLaren? But once again, denied their 1-2 finish. Juan Pablo Montoya could not come in 2nd place because he had a collision with Pitsonia just 3 or 4 laps from the flag. And Mr. Reliable gets a step closer to becoming Mr. Youngest World Champion. Alonso, a fabulous performance from him and from his Renault team. The story of this season really has been that Renault did a better job in the early part of the year. They took the wins when it counted. Alonso built the lead. In the second half of the championship, the McLaren's been the team to beat, but Alonso and Renault have done a fantastic job to keep themselves in it, and he finishes in 2nd place and a podium for Jenson Button.
So back-to-back Spa wins and champagne for Raikkonen, but the real celebrations will be at Renault, where Fernando Alonso is a huge step nearer the world title. The thoughts of those drivers next.
This ain't difficult, it's simple. It's Champions Tuesday. It's a beauty! Champions League football on a Tuesday. Elegantly sandwiched between a Monday and a Wednesday. Miss it? Not an option. Consider this an education.
It's a finish.
Tuesdays mean one thing and one thing only.
That is beyond belief.
Champions Tuesday. So don't give me when's it on. Don't give me where's it on, because that's just going to upset me. Champions Tuesday, Chelsea versus Anderlecht. Tuesday, 7:30, ITV1.
Radio division mixers, sound mixers, cameramen, directors. Over to Guildhall. Take it, Master Control. Information.
I am not a number. I am a free man.
Adam, I love you.
Rachel.
It's just that I didn't dare admit it to myself because I wasn't...
Stars in the rise, live grand final.
Know the game by now. Let's play bullseye.
Only parents worried about passing on to script tonight will the winner.
The latest situation from the news desk here at 10.
Chances of getting out of Group G.
The last place I want to go tonight.
Ah, you went right through the desert, through Italy.
I'm not here to question you.
Look, she's not tough. I ran out of place for kids.
Stop this!
It's that casual air of elegance that always betrays me.
Followed by under House Parliament will not behave themselves.
Poirot shall enlighten you.
If he'd have got the chance, he probably would have killed me that day.
Christian's tearing his family apart.
What's your problem?
While his mother tries to keep it together.
I'm suicidal and I'm frightened.
I reckon you'll kill me.
Faced with putting her own child in care, she searches for a cure.
If we don't teach the skills, I'm not optimistic about his long-term prognosis.
Before it's too late.
He's a child that needs help and that's all it is.
Real life continues with The Boy They Call Chucky, Monday at 11, ITV1.
Welcome back to Spa, where Kimi Raikkonen has picked up his second successive Belgian Grand Prix victory. He picks up the 10 points, the sixth time that has happened this year. Alonso, driving the cautiously perfect race, picks up second, and Button from 8th on the grid to the podium. Webber, who gambled on the slicks, rallied home 4th, followed by Rubens Barrichello. Jacques Villeneuve, who made it second at one stage, ended 6th. Ralf Schumacher, whose tyre gamble didn't pay off, was 7th. And then Montero in the Jordan, Klein, Massa, Kazikayan, Albers and Dornbos made up the other places.
Bit of frustration that Juan Pablo wasn't there in P2?
Yeah, he did perfect race. He deserved much more what he got in the end, and the team deserved more, but it's nothing what we could have changed. It's not his fault and no the team fault, but unfortunately it happens us all the time.
Juan Pablo, we didn't actually see what happened in that accident, so tell us all about it.
Well, all about it. It's not much about it. I was running and controlling the pace to Alonso. That it was pretty much my goal here. You know, I was quick, probably as quick as Kimi, but you know the goal was for Kimi to win the race, not myself today. To be honest, to help the team and help Kimi, and we, you know, it looked pretty much as planned.
So you were both playing for the team, or you feel that you had the speed and you passed him yourself?
It doesn't make any difference, does it?
Fernando, you're so close now, you can almost touch it. What's your mindset going into Brazil?
It's obviously an important race for me, but at the end of the day, I think you cannot do much about this. You have to do your race. Hopefully the car still finishes in all the races, because it's the key of this championship, to take points every race, and I think we did it until now, so I'm very optimistic to keep doing the last 2 races.
And Brazil next, but time's running out a bit, really, isn't it? Alonso only has to finish on the podium.
Yeah, but we keep fighting as long as we can.
Your fault, his fault, or just one of those things?
I think it was one of those things, you know. He was not expecting a back marker to pass him. Maybe he didn't know it was on slicks. And obviously I didn't want to screw his race. In the end I crashed into his car. But I think I was a lot quicker than him, so I had the option to spend the rest of the race behind him or try to pass him going, you know, 4 seconds quicker than him.
And I went into turn 12 and he just ran straight into my right rear corner, not even the side or anything, you know.
Once again, the end result is that you're lying in second place, and then you know where.
Yeah, but what can you do? Motor racing.
Thanks.
Just explain the decision to keep with those wets then for the rest of the race, because it really worked well for you.
It did. I mean, I could, the second set of tyres I really looked after, and we were running a lot less wing in the second stint, and the car felt really good. And I just knew that the circuit was going to dry out, and what's the point of sticking new tyres on that are just going to overheat? So I read it into the team and said, I want old tyres. And they said, what do you mean old tyres? I said, old wets. And so they said, the set that's the oldest is on the car, so I said just leave them on. So they did, and it worked really well for us. That's the reason why we got a podium, because we made the right decision, and very happy about that.
Was there ever a temptation to change back to slicks at the end?
After feeling what it was like after lap 8, no, not really. It wasn't much fun to drive on, and there was no use risking it. I knew that was the right way to go for us, to run those wets and double stint them, and it worked. We got a third place and a couple more laps, and we could have had Alonso.
In the end, I think we made most of the right decisions. Good job for BMW, two races with the engine, which is not easy around Monza and Spa. So, and all in all, for me, finally get a bit of a monkey off my back, which was a good weekend for me. Really qualifying, everything went well.
I mean, the strategy we had for the qualifying, which was bad for the qualifying, actually paid off for the race. That's what we were hoping for, and that's what happened. So I'm just delighted for the whole team, and this one, it's a real point, and we all deserved it. I'm just sorry for what happened with Trulli. I had a problem with the electronics. The car just stalled, really. I stopped in the middle of the corner and Trulli hit me, so I'm sorry for him. But we fought hard today, and so I think we deserved it.
Tony, it stayed dry, and that had a huge impact on the race.
Massive impact, but of course it was still damp and all the mist hanging in the trees and the tarmac was soaked through, but everyone was on tenterhooks in the pits waiting to change the tyres, and you had to be on the right tyres. Those who went on the dries, they didn't work.
No, but we had a clean start, which we weren't anticipating at one stage.
We thought it would start behind the safety car, but it didn't. It was a start from the lights. Juan Pablo got away well, but look at Trulli challenging on the inside of Kimi Raikkonen there, Alonso behind him, and this, you see Kimi Raikkonen has to play chicken there. He goes outside Trulli down at 170, 180 miles per hour. He's really got to go for it because Juan Pablo's getting way down there. But watch this. He gets all light coming over the top and gets a big wobbly going over the top of Eau Rouge and into Redion, and very nearly loses it right at the beginning of the Grand Prix.
Now that was Raikkonen, but Fisichella had a job to do this afternoon. He was trying to get between the two McLarens. It didn't work out.
He was meant to be the tactical weapon, especially in the constructors, especially to help his teammate. It didn't work out. He moved up from 13th after the engine change. He got past DC, he got past Massa, and I don't think that his boss will be very happy. Great move there and power through Eau Rouge, but Eau Rouge in a minute was his falling. Look, he loses it totally. He had a tail-happy car. He hit the curb on the inside, a big crash at 170 miles per hour. And Flavio Briatore could question his employment next year. You never know, he might swap him for Mark Webber. It still could happen.
It probably didn't change the way that Alonso was going to drive, but there was one thing that nearly changed the whole of Alonso's drive, and that was on the same first corner.
Well, it was after the safety car, you see, because the tyres weren't really up to temperature possibly. And, just look at this here. Villeneuve runs wide on the brakes there, but he judges right in front of Alonso, nearly chops off his nose. And by the way, he was just behind Kimi Raikkonen as well. He went on to finish 6th, and then Sato did the same thing, hit the back of Michael Schumacher, took him out of the Grand Prix, and this is where he made his debut. Look at this, very unhappy, not quite grabbing him by the throat as he did Coulthard in 98, but he still gave him a smack on the helmet.
Michael was obviously and rightly disappointed with that.
Very, very disappointed because, he's had a really bad season. This is his home track where he's won 6 times, and also now that's his 5th retirement. It equals his worst season in 96.
But what a great race for Jenson Button.
Superb. I've said that champions are rewarded here, would-be champions, really talented drivers. This is a talented driver on his debut here in 2000. He was 3rd on the grid ahead of Michael Schumacher. He finished 5th in the race, but look at this as he progressed through to 3rd on the outside of Pouhon past Villeneuve. Then a little bit later on, inside of the bus stop, beautifully calculated move to get into 4th place at the time, and he ends up on the podium. Jenson Button is championship material.
Now McLaren were looking for that 1-2. They were so close to getting that 1-2, and then it all goes wrong.
Well, we weren't sure, were we, whether the team player was Montoya, whether he was going to, move over or not, but he didn't. It happened in the pit stop. But Kimi had been out there for that extra lap, and he'd really got the pedal to the metal. He'd gone 2 seconds faster. When he emerged in his pit stop after Juan Pablo Montoya, there he is. He's taken the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix. They're 1-2. A few laps down the line, And what happens, obviously...
There are 3 laps to go.
I know, but Juan Pablo Montoya is clearly dejected by being in second place. He's got the black dog. Maybe he wasn't concentrating. But for the second time this year, he's thrown away a 1-2. He did the same thing in Turkey when he tangled with Montero, and he shouldn't have done. So he needs a real talking to by Ron Dennis.
Kick up the whatnot. All right, Tony, thank you very much indeed. Well, Alonso's lead is now down to 25 points with just the 3 races to go. Raikkonen has to score 5 more points than Alonso in Brazil, or the title is the Spaniards. In the Constructors, Renault's lead is down to 6 after only Raikkonen and Alonso finished for their respective teams. Ferrari back in 3rd, increasing their advantage over Toyota in 4th. It's Williams next with BAR ahead of Red Bull, Sauber, Jordan and Minardi. Here's James with his team report.
Michael Schumacher collided with Takuma Sato. Rubens Barrichello finished 5th, but 78 seconds behind the race winner. BAR, they move up to 6th in the Constructors. Terrific drive by Jenson Button, but Sato's in trouble with the stewards. Renault, well, Fisichella had the accident that brought out the safety car, but Alonso, very cool. He stood on the podium again. If he does that in Brazil in 2 weeks' time, regardless of what Raikkonen does, he's the champion. Williams, dogged drive by Mark Webber. He made an unnecessary tyre stop and still finished 4th. Pitsonia tangled with Montoya. McLaren still can't get that elusive 1-2. If they'd managed it here, they'd have left 4 points ahead of the Renault in the Constructors' Championship instead of trailing them. Sauber, good day for both drivers. Massa could have got a good result, but he was an early pitter for dry tyres, wrongly. Villeneuve on a one-stopper drove very well through to 6th place. Red Bull Racing, they dropped to 7th in the Constructors. Coulthard retiring with an engine failure, Client out of the points. Toyota at one point, they were the fastest car on the racetrack. Ralf Schumacher could have been on the podium if he hadn't changed to dry tyres. Trulli lost ground and eventually collided with Montero. Nevertheless, Montero came through to score a point for the first time against a full Formula One field. And Minardi on the weekend, the team was sold. Certainly a weekend to forget.
And we're back in a fortnight's time with the Brazilian Grand Prix, where all eyes will once again be on Fernando Alonso. Join us for what could be the climax of the season. But today belongs to Kimi Raikkonen. He's done all he can, but sadly for him, so too has Fernando Alonso. From us all, bye-bye.
F1 on ITV, sponsored by LG.
If you'd like to know more about Formula One, the website sponsored by LG is itv.com/F1.
Go into the chapel and
Shelley, Victoria, Unwin. Do you take this man to be your lawful wedded husband?
He's an evil, pathetic, vile little man. I don't want him anywhere near my daughter.
To love him?
Yeah, OK, he's got a bit of a past, but if you ask me, Shelley could do a lot worse.
Honour him?
He's a lot to answer for, that man. He manipulates us just like he manipulates Shelley.
Comfort him?
Yeah, well, maybe he's not the man she thinks he is. That's 170 then, please.
In sickness and in health?
We've been round the block enough times to spot a nasty piece of work when we see one.
For better and for worse.
Marriage, you see, is like a bank account. You put in, you take out. Sometimes you lose interest.
As long as you both shall live.
Hello and welcome to a brand new week of Loose Women, the show that gives a nip and tuck to your opinions. I think if somebody said they were going to marry me the first 5 minutes, I think it was a weirdo and I'd run in the opposite direction. Tall, slim, blonde, big boobs.
I used to be that girl.
Loose Women, weekdays at 1:30, here on ITV Day.
We're joining Ben Edwards and Simon Hill in a few minutes here on ITV1 for Motorsport UK after the latest ITV news headlines.
Hello, I'm Aisha Sasay. For the second night running, loyalist mobs have taken to the streets of Belfast. They threw petrol bombs at the police and burned hijacked cars. Police have now released video pictures taken by their officers of the weekend violence. The Chancellor Gordon Brown has blamed OPEC oil-producing countries for rising petrol prices. Mr Brown said OPEC must increase supplies to bring prices down. He was speaking as campaigners plan new protests at the level of fuel taxes. They're demanding cuts in fuel duty to offset price rises. The last Israeli soldiers in the Gaza Strip are pulling out, ending 38 years of occupation. The final stages of the withdrawal began at sunset in the Jewish settlement of Neve Dekalim. Troops lowered the Israeli flag for the last time as Palestinians prepared to move into the area. England's cricketers are just one day from an Ashes triumph against Australia. A combination of superb bowling and bad light means they're closing in on the draw they need for a series victory. The home side will resume their second innings 40 runs ahead at 34 for 1. That's all for now. I'll be back with more news later.
Their work has inspired millions. Outstanding in their field. Now is the time to pay tribute to your favorite stars from the world of arts and entertainment. Now is the time to immortalize them in our very own Avenue of the Stars. Live and exclusive to ITV1 next Sunday at 8.
All right. What's all this about then?
Well, it's a game show marathon.
A game show marathon?
Yep. To celebrate 50 years of ITV, we're bringing back 7 classic game shows over 7 weeks.
What are the shows?
Top secret. Can't tell you. Give you some clues.
Yeah?
Good guy.
So, they're shows we all grew up with?
Yep.
Shows everyone knows? Just one more thing. Does this have anything to do with actually running a marathon?
A brand new series, Antidex Game Show Marathon, next Saturday at 6:10.
Great sporting moments from around the world are coming up in just over half an hour here on ITV1 with World Sport. But we're staying in the UK first as we head to Norfolk for Motorsport UK.
Hello there, I'm Diana Binks and welcome to Snetterton in the east of England, one of the UK's fastest racing circuits for Motorsport UK. It's the venue for round 13 of the Porsche Carrera Cup and round 12 of the Elf Renault Clio Cup, but first up it's the ever eventful Formula Renaults. Here's Ben Edwards with your commentary.
Sean McIntosh lines up on pole position for round 11 of the Formula Renault UK Championship with Michelin. The Canadian has gone well in qualifying. Second fastest is Stephen Simpson. Championship leader Oliver Jarvis is back in 6th place on the grid.
Oliver, you first race of the day, you're leading this championship. Is it now about a podium or is it the championship?
It's about a podium for me, really. Struggled a little bit in qualifying, but we think we found the problem. So we're going to get back up there and go for a podium.
What can you do from 6th position on the grid here at Snetterton?
Fortunately, Snetterton, you know, there are places to pass. It's going to be a long race and a hard race. I think just keep in there, you know, try and pick people off when I can. But I think a podium's a realistic opportunity.
Well, this is the lineup. McIntosh and Simpson on the front row, then Hall and Patrick Hogan. Then it's James Jake starting in 5th place. The youngster's been going well this year. Ollie Jarvis then starting in 6th with a bit of work to do. Alex Torkenfeldt, who was the start at Croft, starts 7th from Tom Kimber-Smith. And further on down the order, watch out for Richard Keane, who's going for the graduate win. And also watch out for one or two others towards the back. Dave van den Heuvel back, he's in 23rd place on the grid, and former karting star Jeremy Metcalf brings up the rear. All set to get the racing underway here at Snetterton then, and away we go. The lights go out, and the good front row start from Stephen Simpson there. Stephen Simpson in the black car making an absolutely mega getaway from 2nd on the grid. I think he's going to be ahead as they turn into riches. Yes, he is. The South African got off the line beautifully well there. He did have a problem when they went off on the formation lap a moment ago, so we wondered if he had some sort of mechanical troubles, but he's made a brilliant getaway, and it's Simpson who leads. And in fact, McIntosh has been pushed back into 3rd by Stuart Hall. We're on board with Ollie Jarvis. Remember, he started in 6th place, but he looks very determined to try and make up some ground. very quickly, and he moves to the outside as we come into the S's. I think he's going to gain at least one place there, and as they turn into the second part, yes, he has gained a position, so a good start. But we've got a 10-second penalty being handed out to Stephen Simpson. In trouble there is Bradley Ellis. Now, 10-second penalty to Stephen Simpson. Now, I don't think that's because he jumped the start. It's not a jump start. He made a good one, but the problem was that he caused the delayed start. Apparently, that's the reason he's been given the 10-second penalty. Paddy Hogan running in third place. He's got ahead of Stuart Hall now. So the black car, number 25, up into third place, ahead of number 1, Stuart Hall. The Irishman's going well. Let's just take another look at the start. Stephen Simpson made a very good getaway from the outside of the front row, but he's picked up his penalty, as I said, because he caused a delayed start earlier. Diana, I think, can find out more.
Richard, there seems to have been a bit of confusion at the start of that race. How did you see it?
Well, Stephen seemed to have a problem when the 5-second board came up. Certainly the start delayed board went up, but the procedure, I've never seen a 10-second penalty applied before for a start delayed board. I understood the procedure to be different, so we'll be questioning that.
Yeah, it seems pretty hefty.
It is, and obviously from a personal point of view for Stephen, his first win is starting to get more and more elusive, and hopefully he'll prove he can win this on merit with his ability alone, and we'll just see about the penalty later.
Thanks, Richard.
Thanks, Diana. Well, Stephen Simpson, with 10 seconds added to his time, of course, isn't leading effectively now. Let's just see what's been going on. Oh, dear. There was a little bit of an incident. Richard Keane involved in that with Daniel Welsh, and it was Welsh who paid the price there. A rather dislodged nose cone. Into the pits he's come, and the nose cone goes flying. Well, lucky not to get taken out by that. Still spinning around in the pit lane. And Daniel Welsh hopefully will get back out onto the circuit once again. We're riding on board here with Sebastian Hohenthal. He's had a pretty good season, has Hohenthal, but he didn't qualify quite so well for this race. Just watching him coming through Riches, and he's got a good chance to overtake down the inside. Makes the move, and that was a good clean piece of overtaking for Sebastian Hohenthal. Meanwhile, what's been going on down at the Russell chicane? It looks like there's been contact here between a couple of cars. Matt Scheuer on the outside. Oh dear! And two of the first air cars tangling. Richard Keane there tangling with Jean-Robert Niogret of France. And that's a bit unfortunate because it was just one of those things. He couldn't avoid him, really, as he came through the corner. Now, remember, Stephen Simpson is leading on the road, but in fact, our race leader is Sean McIntosh, the Canadian. Because of the 10-second penalty that Stephen Simpson has, it means that he's a bit further down the order than he would like. Look at Oliver Jarvis here. Jarvis in car number 27. He is the championship leader in the silver and black car, but he's being hounded by James Jakes in car number 7. And Jakes looking very racy here. This is the battle for 4th position at the moment. Jakes has a little look. He's got to watch out, though, because he's got Jelmer Berman right behind him as well. And the orange and black car of the Dutch driver, who was a race winner at Alton Park earlier on this season, had a couple of 7th place finishes last time out at Croft, but Berman has shown his abilities and his performance, so Jakes, although he's attacking Jarvis, has also got to watch his mirrors here for the Dutchman right behind him. Jarvis will be a little disappointed not to be up with the race leaders. This is his local circuit. Young man from Burwell in Cambridgeshire, whose father was a very successful Formula Ford racer here at Snetterton, amongst other places. And I'm sure he would have liked to have been winning the race here at his local track, but it's not happening for him at the moment. Chen Kong Fu on the move and getting past Sebastian Hohenthal. Well, that looked pretty easy. It makes me wonder if Sebastian Hohenthal might have a problem, because that's an unusual place to overtake, and it usually means that the car that's being passed there has got some sort of problem and not able to run quite flat out. Jarvis still holding on to 4th from number 7 there, James Jakes. And right behind them both is Jelmer Berman. Jakes has been impressive this season, his 2nd full season of the British Formula Renault Championship. He had a good 2nd place finish last time out at Croft. He was 2nd at Alton, yet to take his first win in the series, but he has had a pole position, as we see Bradley Ellis again touring round rather slowly. He's obviously had problems with that car, and it looks as though it's all over now for him. He's just trying to get back to the pits, but oh dear, that's unusual. Is that steam almost coming out of the back of the car? These Formula Renault cars running with basically a road standard engine they're incredibly reliable normally, even though they're being pushed to the very limit, maximum revs all the time. Usually they're very, very reliable, but it looks as though there may be a mechanical problem for Ellis. P1 for Sean McIntosh. He's second on the road, but he's being told by the pits that he is leading this race, despite this man in the black car out in front. He's got 10 seconds, remember, to add to his race time. The question is where that will drop him back in the order. We'll have to wait and see. Jarvis has been passed by Jakes and is now under pressure from Jelmer Berman. So James Jakes has taken 4th place now, and he's pulled away quite quickly from Jarvis, who's got a bit of pressure on, and Jarvis a bit slow through Sear Corner there as well. Not really getting quite the speed he wanted. Let's see what happened here. We're on board with Jarvis. Jakes presumably went down the inside, yeah, into the left-hander at the S's. A good, neat piece of overtaking from the youngster, the Yorkshireman, who celebrated his 18th birthday just a little while ago, and now trying to get on terms with the race leader in this race. Cross out of the bomb hole they come, past that stricken car of Bradley Ellis, and Oliver Jarvis still holding off from Jelmer Berman. Berman applies the pressure as they come into Russell Corner. Very tight little right-left flick. It used to be a very fast little chicane, really. Opposite the pits, it was a flat-out corner in the old days, but there used to be some heavy accidents against the tyre wall on the outside. The Snetterton circuit looking absolutely immaculate here this weekend under the auspices of Motorsport Vision, Jonathan Palmer's group that now owns Snetterton amongst its tracks like Alton Park and Brands Hatch as well. And a lot of attention to detail, making the track look very, very smart indeed in the bright summer sunshine here in Norfolk. Jarvis, though, coming under more pressure again. Now, let's see what line he takes coming down towards the S's. Does he cover the inside? No, not by enough anyway, because Jelmer Berman now nips past just in the same place that James Jakes did it. And so Jelmer Berman taking that place, and Oliver Jarvis just appears to be struggling a little bit here at Snetterton. A surprise, but well, remember, he still leads the championship quite comfortably. Good advantage coming into this meeting. Second place in the championship is now James Jakes. So Jakes having got past him, good opportunity for him to score a few more points than Oliver Jarvis. But Jakes really needs to be winning some races. If he's going to keep Jarvis under pressure in this championship, James Jakes needs to get out there and start doing some winning. It's something that his teammate Alex Storkenfeldt has been able to do, and it's Storkenfeldt who's now closing up on Jarvis himself. So Alex Storkenfeldt in the red and black car, teammate to Jakes, now sitting in 8th place and looking to try and wrest 7th away from the championship leader, and by doing so perhaps assisting his own teammate James Jakes. There is Stephen Simpson, but our race leader is this car, number 24, Sean McIntosh, who has